2009. A desk toy made of 216 tiny magnets became an American obsession, and then the United States government decided to destroy it. But here's the part nobody remembers. The ban failed, twice. Let's go back and see it. It's 2010, and on office desks all across America, people are pulling apart little spheres of rare earth metal, snapping them into cubes, chains, pyramids. Rare earth magnets, far stronger than anything on your refrigerator. The most addictive desk toy of its moment. And this is a real photograph. 216 neodymium spheres, a full set of Buckyballs. At its peak, sets like this were reportedly selling in the millions. Today, owning a set like this, fresh from a store shelf, is essentially impossible, and the story of how that happened involves a defiant CEO, a government agency that almost never sues anyone, one man in Denver who refused to fold, and a courtroom defeat that federal regulators had not tasted in a generation. This is not the story of a toy that was banned. It's the story of a toy that kept winning and vanished anyway. Rewind to 2009. Two entrepreneurs, Craig Zucker and Jake Bronstein, start a company called Maxfield & Overton, and their product is almost embarrassingly simple. 216 spherical neodymium magnets, each the size of a BB pellet, sold as a stress toy for grown-ups. They called them Buckyballs. There was no screen, no app, no batteries, just physics. And it worked, the sensation of snapping those spheres together, the endless shapes, the clicking sound. Office workers loved them. Tech blogs loved them. By the time the story ends, the company had reportedly sold some 2.5 million sets. Buckyballs became one of those products that seemed to appear on every desk in America almost overnight. But the same physics that made the toy irresistible, small, shiny, and magnetically stronger than anything else in the house, was about to attract the attention of a very different audience, and that audience was 2 years old. Here's what happens when a child swallows one of these magnets. Usually nothing. It passes. The danger is two. Swallow two or one magnet and something steel, and they find each other through the walls of the intestines. They pinch. The tissue trapped between them dies, the gut perforates, and what looked like a stomachache becomes emergency surgery. Toddlers swallowed them because they look like candy. Teenagers put pears on their tongues to fake piercings and gulped. In May 2010, the product was recalled for the first time, but not for any of that. It was a paperwork recall. About 175,000 sets had been labeled ages 13 plus, and under the federal toy standard, magnets this powerful can't be sold as a toy for anyone under 14. The fix was a compromise, new warning labels reading, "Keep away from all children," and a promise to stay out of toy stores. The product stayed on the market, the warnings got bigger, and the children kept coming into emergency rooms anyway. So in the summer of 2012, the government did something it almost never does. In July 2012, the Consumer Product Safety Commission filed an administrative complaint against Maxfield & Overton, a legal weapon so rarely used it was only the second time in 11 years. The agency asked retailers to stop selling Buckyballs, and the big ones did. For almost any company, that's the end. You apologize, you recall, you disappear. Craig Zucker did the opposite. He declared war. The company launched a campaign called Really, Save Our Balls. Its ads asked why the government wasn't banning hippos, which the company's ads claimed killed 2,900 people a year, or beds, which they claimed kill 1,600. Buy a set, the ads said, before Washington decides you can't be trusted with magnets. It was loud, it was funny, and for a moment the whole country was watching a toy company taunt its own regulator. But you cannot out-meme a federal agency forever. Retailers stayed gone. The legal bills grew, and 2 days after Christmas 2012, Maxfield & Overton quietly filed its own death certificate in Delaware. The company was gone, and that's when the government did something that scared executives far beyond the toy industry. It went after Craig Zucker personally. With the company dissolved, the commission amended its complaint and named Zucker himself, not as a CEO but as a man. His personal assets, on the line for a desk toy. Business groups were alarmed. Lawyers called it an almost unheard-of stretch of something called the Park Doctrine, the idea that a corporate officer can be held responsible for his company's products. For almost a year and a half, one of the best-known desk toys in America existed only as a lawsuit against one individual. In May 2014, it ended with a deal. Zucker agreed to pay $375,000 into a recall trust, refunding anyone who turned in their Buckyballs. He admitted nothing. The settlement explicitly said the toys were not conceded to be defective, and even the commissioners were split, approving it 2-1. Buckyballs, the brand, was dead, and if the story ended here, it would be a tidy one. Dangerous product, defiant company, government wins. But everything you've just heard was only round one. Because while Zucker was settling, the commission had already reached for a much bigger weapon, and a much smaller opponent was waiting for it. Here's the part almost nobody remembers. In 2014, the commission stopped chasing companies one by one and simply wrote a rule. Magnet sets this small and this strong could no longer be sold at all. It took effect in 2015. Every maker in the industry folded except one. Zen Magnets, a tiny company in Denver run by a young founder named Sheehan, sued the federal government. It looked absurd, a magnet sphere shop against the United States. And in November 2016, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals threw the entire rule out, ruling the agency's math on risks and benefits didn't hold up. Put it bluntly, they were the first to overturn a commission rule in 32 years. Think about what that means. The famous magnet ban, the one everyone assumes killed these toys, was struck down. From 2017, high-powered magnet spheres went right back on sale in America, legally. But the sequel was grim. With the rule gone, emergency room visits climbed again. A 2020 study in JAMA tracked swallowing cases rising year after year once the ban disappeared. And the commission estimates some 26,600 magnet ingestions were treated in emergency rooms between 2010 and 2021. Zen Magnets won its war and still lost. In a separate case over its older inventory, the courts finally sided with the regulators, and in December 2020, Zen stopped selling. Then, in September 2022, the commission came back with a new rule rewritten, re-argued, and this time passed by a unanimous vote. It survived. After 13 years, the era of the high-powered magnet desk toy was over, not with one dramatic ban, but on the third try. So what remains? The magnets themselves never went away. The same spheres are still manufactured for industry, for science, for anyone but your desk. The commission says it knows of 7 deaths connected to swallowing these high-powered magnets, 2 of them overseas, a number that is small, and that no parent in it would call small. Craig Zucker moved on. Sheehan, the man who beat the government, declared Zen Magnets is dead in 2023, and then founded a nonprofit dedicated, of all things, to magnet safety education. The warrior didn't switch sides. He'd argued all along that warnings and education, not bans, were the answer. And somewhere in millions of American drawers, there are still little spheres of neodymium, far stronger than any fridge magnet, quietly holding their shape in the dark. The toy that beat the government twice is now a collector's item, proof that in America you can win the lawsuit, win the appeal, make history in a federal courtroom and still watch your product vanish. If you remember a toy that quietly vanished, tell me in the comments. That's where the next story comes from. I'm Vanishing Era.